guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be talking about volumes of prisms and cylinders. And so if you guys have that sheet printed out, then you are in good shape. But if not, no worries. You can just draw the problems that we're working on. We're only going to be doing 4. So before spring break, we were working on surface area. And surface area and volume are 2 different things that we measure. So surface area is when we are squaring a unit, and volume is when we are cubing a unit. So for example, take this water bottle. If I were to find the surface area of this water bottle, let's say I would want to figure out how much wrapping paper I would need to wrap up my water bottle and give it as a gift to somebody. But volume is like how much I can fit inside of the water bottle. So volume is the amount of water that I can fit in, if that makes sense. Okay. So to start off, let's start off by finding the volume of a cylinder. Okay. So let's say we have a cylinder that is 12 feet long and 9 feet tall. So for example, we're going to scale this down and use this penny here. Okay. So when we're finding volumes of prisms and cylinders, we're going to take the area of the base and multiply it by the height. So we're really just taking a bunch of these, circles. So like a bunch of these circles here, and we're stacking them on top of each other however many times. So if I were to continue stacking pennies, I'd end up with a pretty short cylinder, right? But we see that the base is a circle, and it's just that circle stacked on top of itself however many times to get your height, and this would be your height. Okay, so for example, our base here is a circle. Okay, so the formula for area of a circle is pi r squared, and we're stacking that 9 times, so times the height. So that's where that formula comes from. And then we just go ahead and plug in numbers. So then it's pi. The diameter is 12, so that means the radius must be 6 squared times the height, which is 9. So I end up with pi times 36 times 9. And 36 times 9 is 324. So the volume of the cylinder is 324 pi. And we still want you guys to leave your answers in terms of pi. Let's go back up to number 1. So to find the volume of a rectangular prism, I think a lot of you would be familiar with this. It's just length times width times height. But if you notice, it's following that same pattern of the cylinder where you find the area of the base. So this is the area of the base. That's what that subscript stands for, B for base. Area of, whoops. Don't know what happened there. Give me a moment to pull back my OneNote. Whoops. Where did it go? There we go. So again, we have, this is your area of the base times the height. So you can take the base to be anything in a rectangular prism. So if you want, this can be your base, and this can be your height, or this can be your base, and this can be your height, or this can be your base, and this can be your height. So it doesn't really matter when it comes to rectangular prisms, because you're going to get the same answer either way. So we get 3 times 2 times 4. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. So the volume of this rectangular prism is 24 centimeters cubed. Okay. All right. So now let's try finding the volume of a triangular prism. Our base is a triangle. Okay. And the height is just going to be how far apart your two bases are. So these two bases are 12 meters apart. So to find the area of this rectangular prism, I need to find the area of our triangle. So I don't know what this bottom portion measures, so we have to use Pythagorean theorem to help us. So I'm going to go ahead and do 64 minus 36 because that's 8 squared minus 6 squared. So 64 minus 36 gets us 28. And we want the square root of that. So one of these parts here measures square root of 28. So this is also square root of 28. And then if we go ahead and simplify that radical, we're going to get 2 root 7. So that means these bottom pieces each measure 2 root 7, 2 root 7. Okay. Now, area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And then to find the volume, remember, we want to find the distance. We want to multiply it by the distance of the two bases. So that's 12. That's also your height. And then we can just go ahead and start plugging in numbers. So then that's 1/2. That whole base measures 4 root 7 because remember, half of it is 2 root 7. The height of that triangle is 6 times 12 because that's going to be that height that I've highlighted in pink here. So we've got area of our base times our height, and then we can just go ahead and start multiplying. Half of 4 root 7 is 2 root 7, so I have 2 root 7 times 6 times 12. And then remember, if we're multiplying radicals, we multiply the numbers on the outside. So I'm going to do 2 times 6 times 12, and that'll get you 144 root 7 meters cubed. Almost forgot my units. Miss Perrick would have killed me. All right, guys, so that's going to be the volume of your triangular prism. Let's take a look at this tougher problem really quick. So I've got a fancy aquarium as an early wedding present. Clearly, this was a problem that took place last year because I got married this year. It's shaped as a hexagonal prism. The perimeter of the aquarium is 60 inches and the height is 15 inches. So the first thing I need you guys to do is label your picture. So the height is 15 inches. So it's this tall, right? That's how far apart your two bases are. Remember, your bases are in the shape of a hexagon. Okay. Now we know that the perimeter of the hexagon is 60 inches. So if I'm trying to find the measure of each side, I'm just going to do 60 divided by 6, and that's 10. So that means each of these sides here is 10. Now, if you guys remember, to find the area of the hexagon, the formula is 1/2 times apothem times your perimeter. We already have our perimeter. We have to find our apothem. And so the apothem is drawn from the center of your shape down to one of the sides, and it is perpendicular. If you guys remember, hexagons are made up of equilateral triangles. So I'm going to highlight this right triangle here in yellow, and I'm just going to go ahead and blow it up here on the side. Okay. So it's the same triangle over here so that we're all looking at the same thing. Okay. I know this side is 10. This side must be 5 because both of these bottom pieces are each 5. And this this small angle down here is going to be 60. This one up here is going to be 30 because if you remember, this whole blue triangle down here is an equilateral triangle. That means all of the angles are 60 degrees, but we cut this one up here in half. Okay, so that's where that 30 comes from. And that's where that 60 comes from as well. From there, you can reach for your 30, 60, 90 right triangle ratios. And so I know that the small side is 5. That's going to be your x, which means your height is going to be 5 root 3. Okay, so now I've got my apothem. I'll go ahead and zoom out here. So the area of the hexagon is 1/2, 5 root 3 times the perimeter, which in the problem they told us is 60. So I'm just going to go ahead and multiply all of the numbers on the outside of the radical, and I get, whoops, don't want to write in highlighter, 150 root 3. So 150 root 3 inches squared is the area of the hexagon. Okay. And to find the volume, I need to take that area and multiply it by the height. So area of the base times the height of the shape will give you your volume. Okay, and that's for any prism or cylinder. So area of that hexagonal base is 150 root 3. And we were told the aquarium is 15 inches in height. Okay, and then again, I just multiply the numbers on the outside of the radical. And so my volume is 2250 root 3 inches cubed, and that's how much water my tank can hold. So to summarize, in all of these problems, to find any volume of a prism or cylinder, we find the area of the base and you multiply it by the height. The height in this case is going to be the distance between the two bases. Because in a prism, we always have two bases. Pyramids only have one base, and we'll take a look at that in a different video. But for right now, that's all I have for you guys. Your homework is to do the Google form homework. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.